Hello, and my name is Kerry, and welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk all things mindset, motivation, and manifesting. Today, bringing it to you from my parents' backyard of all the places. I actually love visiting here. Like, my parents take so much pride in their yard, and they have some help every once in a while, which is greatly appreciated. But if you watch closely back here, one of my favorite things to do, I'm sure you can hear them all too, the birds, and they come cruising around. There's lots of action here. So hopefully it's not too distracting from what we're actually going to talk about today, which is a subscriber request from some of the videos that I've done lately. I've done ones, I'll link them below and you can go back and search for them if you'd like. But there are ones about what to do when your partner asks for space, or why you should never beg someone to be with you. And today we're going to go, like, even if you're dealing with either one of those things, but out of those came the request of what to do once the relationship's over. How do you move on, right? How do you stop loving someone? How do you move on in life? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I've got 7 things you can do that'll help you out with that. And before we dig right into it, I want to let you know that there's so many things that are happening in the background, just like in the yard today, that sometimes you don't even notice. The things that you don't even know that are happening, that are aligning, that are going to come into play, and what you are dreaming and desiring for, and whether that's love, whether that's fulfillment, whether that's abundance, whatever that is, it's closer than you think. And all those things in the background are lining up for you, just like all the birds singing in the background for me today. So, okay, so as we move into this topic, how to move on from a relationship. Obviously, I've done that a few times, short-term, long-term ones. Obviously, long-term marriages, things like that are a lot more entailed. There's a little more emotion and things involved with that. But these are just general things that hopefully will help you out, and a list that I wish I had, even when I was 15 years old, from right up to today. So here's what it's all about. So before I move into it, there was an interesting study, and I'll have to look it up. I don't have the reference to tag below, but it was a study that about moving on from relationships, that both men and women feel pain, they feel hurt. There's rejection, resentment, things like that, moving out of a relationship. They both feel it, but women tend to recover much quicker and more fully and completely. Whereas guys, for some reason, take a lot longer, and the majority of them don't. When they talk to them later, they feel that they haven't recovered fully. And I think that has a lot to do with how much men share and don't share, and what guys are willing to talk about. And we go back to it. And if you're interested in that again, send this to a guy that you know. But it's check out Man to Men. It's a program that I have, that I work with men and create that safe space for men to have conversations that you normally wouldn't have in a group of guys. But guys are craving to have these conversations, and they need them, even though a lot of guys don't need it. So, or they need it, but they're not willing to have it. That's what I was getting at. So, but creating those spaces. So I'll link it in the notes below, but there's also a video about Man to Men, and it's an ongoing group that I do, a group of men to share in that, from the point of getting better and growing. So, okay, let's get into it. Okay, that was just an interesting point. So, one of my, I really like this quote from Edith Edgar, and it says, "Time doesn't heal, it's what you do with the time." And whenever it's time to move on from a relationship, and then a relationship's over, and people go, "Oh, don't worry, time heals everything," and you feel like telling them to pound sand and numerous other things. But it's not. I agree with that quote, that it's not that time heals everything, it's what you do with the time. Sitting around pining about, wondering what they're doing, and looking at old pictures, and trying to stalk their social media, and thinking about all the good times, and that's all you're remembering and stuff like that. That's not what's healing everything, right? You gotta be diligent and focused, and that's what these tips today are all about. Now, so before I move into the tips quickly, I want to let you know that the emotions that you're feeling are coming from your thoughts, and those are coming from your beliefs, right? And what you believe to be true, and what you think. And a lot of times, after a relationship ends, the things that we believe and the emotions we're feeling are based on the visions of that person being someone that who we thought they were, and all the good times we emphasize them, and how great they were, and how perfect they were, and the fear that we won't find someone else, we're going to die alone, no one else will want to be with us. a lot of those emotions get stirred up. But in reality, that person in that relationship wasn't perfect. And they weren't all that you thought they were. They weren't all that in a bag of chips, or else you'd still be with them, right? So there was obviously breakdowns there and stuff that happened as a result of that you need to kind of consider and be aware of. So, and the big thing, I mean, there's a lot of little things that I can throw in here and there, but one of the big things is that they're not one in a million, they're one of a million. Just like me, just like everybody else. Right? And there's not that magic unicorn that you're meant to be with. I mean, and I think that in this world we are meant, there's so many people that we could share and have amazing experiences with, but we need to be willing to have those experiences. And if you're still stuck on one person and you think that was your one shot at love, you're wrong. There are multiple things, and it's about knowing yourself and growing and being a part of that. So how to move on. Okay, so and so as we get into this, I want to realize that, or just bring a note to a lot of that emotion that you're feeling, right? It clouds judgment and you know, in your logic and reason and clarity, and a lot of times sanity with some of the things, you know, we've done. And oh man, if I could make a list of the things, go back to the Why You Don't Beg video and you'll know about that. But a lot of times you're not actually missing the person. When it's time to move on, you don't miss that actual person. Because if you actually took a step back and said, do I really miss that with them? Do I really miss that? Well, no, it wasn't that great because they weren't doing this, or they didn't show up this way, or I wasn't able to show up how I wanted to show up. And a lot of little things like that. What you actually miss is the idea of who that person could have been, or the idea of you being involved with some of the activities that you did, going for walks, cuddling up, watching, you know, movie night on the couch and things like that. And you miss that, but not specifically with that person. So, and again, you don't really realize that when it's in the emotion and cloudiness of it, but once you kind of get a little space from that and you're able to take a step back, you realize that a lot of that is what it was. So, okay, and again, and I know it's tough, right? It feels like someone's squeezing your heart, and you don't want to move on, and it would just be easier to go back to that. You don't want to start over, all of those different emotions that are running through, and realize that it's okay to feel what you're feeling, because you're not just trying to move on and the uncertainty of what's left of what's coming in your life, but also you're mourning the loss of what that was, what you had built together, and the value of that. Because even in any relationship, whether it's a friendship or family or whatever that is, when you're with someone, two people build something, and whether that's something beautiful, whether that's, you know, maybe toxic, I mean, whatever it is, you've built something. And in moving forward from that, a lot of times we just look at the value and the good times of what was built in that and the memories of that. But know that your value, when you take a separate path and move away from that person, you don't lose your value. You keep your value. Your value's with you, right? That's and especially a lot of the men that I work with that are resentful or you know, with, and I mean, hey, and I get it. Again, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And divorce and moving through and division of assets, and they're like, oh, they take half of this and half of that's gone and everything else, and you think about that. But there's one thing that you don't lose half of, that you don't lose any of in a relationship when it breaks down and in separation, divorce, and that is your value, who you are, your ability to build it, your ability to grow, your ability to do it better, do it all again, do it better. You don't lose any of that. That's 100% yours. So don't forget that. Okay, be kind to yourself. Please be kind to yourself. Especially if you're, you know, just recently broken up with someone and kind of getting through those stages of kind of healing and navigating that. So here we go. All right, so the number one thing, when someone is moving through a relationship, you know, a breakdown of a relationship, breakup, divorce, and looking to just move on, right? Move on with their life. Number one, do no harm. Do no harm to you. Do no harm to others. Do no harm to anything. Right? You want to, you know, there's things that we rely on, we go on coping mechanisms, whether that's, you know, and I mean, everybody's different, right? And everybody does their things, but finding healthy coping mechanisms is a lot better than addictive ones or ones that don't serve you. So alcohol, drugs, you know, all kinds, sex, there's all kinds of different, you know, violence, all kinds of things in that regard that people, you know, just feel as an outlet, right, for that pain and suffering, and I encourage you to veer away from those and do no harm to yourself and move towards things that serve you, right? Channel that energy into something that helps you become the best version of you. So do no harm to you. Do no harm to others. Don't talk smack about people. Don't go flat someone's tires. Don't go, the list goes on and on. Violence is never the answer, ever. And, side note, if you're in a relationship where there's any sort of abuse, violence, mental, physical, infidelity, all that stuff, you deserve better than that, right? You so deserve better than that. And you don't have to tolerate that and stay. Know your worth. So do no harm to others and do no harm to things. Don't, punch in the walls. I've never been a wall puncher, but from everybody that I've known that has that logic, they punch the wall and now they still have the problems and a hole in the wall and, 2 broken knuckles. So do no harm to you, do no harm to others, do no harm to anything. Number 2, find someone you can talk to, especially for the men out there. Gentlemen, find somebody that has your best interest in mind, someone that cares about you, not someone that's just hanging out for the gossip. Because, man, I know they're out there as well, right? Asking questions and wondering what you're doing and this, and then finding out that they're reporting back to whoever and stuff. Man, I lived it, I'm telling you. So anyways, find someone you can talk to. It's so important to share and not bottle up those emotions and be able to, share with someone, whether that's a professional, like a healthcare professional, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a coach, anything like that. Find someone that you can share with that has your best interest in mind, because it is so important to lighten that load. It feels like the weight of the world is lifted off your shoulders when you have someone you can confide in. Number 3, feel the emotions. Don't feel bad that you're feeling the way you do, right? Process the emotion, right? And I mentioned earlier, use that energy to move forward, to improve yourself, to become the best version of you. Because I'll tell you what, when you improve, that automatically starts negating those feelings that you're not going to find anyone better or experience anything better or experience love or anything like that again in moving on. Because when you become better, you attract better. So, and another one of my favorite quotes is, when you pursue excellence, excellence pursues you. So when you get better, you attract better. So know that when you channel that energy, you feel the emotion, you don't feel crappy about feeling crappy. It's okay to feel crappy, but set that time frame. You know what? And I remember doing it, right? It's like, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna bawl my eyes out for 5 minutes. I'm gonna give myself 5 minutes, and then I'm done. Then I'm gonna move forward. Done for today. It's sometimes, or done for this session, and then moving forward, right? And then focusing on the great things in my life and moving forward and what I want, focusing on the future instead of what I don't want from the past, right? Okay, number 4, and I talked about this a little bit before, that your value was not the relationship. Your value was not the other person you're with. Your value is not who you're attached to. It's not all of the things around you. It's in you. It's you. No one can take that away from you. So realize it and then build on that, right? And when you increase your value physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you attract better, you vibe higher, and amazing things start happening in your life. Your value was not in that relationship. It's not in that other person. It's you. The whole Jerry Maguire thing about you complete me, no, that's not it. You're complete on your own. Okay, number 5, ownership. Ownership. What did you do well in that relationship? What did you do well? What did you not do well? What could you improve on? Because I'll tell you what, there's some of both. And sometimes it's eating a lot of crow to kind of go through that and realize and be aware of that. But if you don't, you will see patterns that will happen over and over and over. Why do I attract people that are so needy on the other side? Why do I attract people that always cheat? Why do I attract people that are mean to me? Why do I attract people that don't respect me? Why do I keep attracting people that are emotionally unavailable? Why do I attract, and I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Look for the patterns, because in those patterns are massive clues on where the work is that you need to do. Because in some of those patterns, I found the work that I need to do. And again, still working on it. At no point do I ever claim to be at the finish line, but better every day. And that's what I love. So ownership, right? And when you take ownership of the role that you played in the demise and the breakdown of that relationship, it really helps knowing that when you're going to work on that and become better, and you won't be as you'll have a better skill set moving forward if those challenges arrive in the future. You'll have more awareness to know what were the red flags that I missed, what were the red flags maybe that I had that I didn't realize that they were there. And when you have that awareness, it's so powerful as you move forward. Fearless in love, moving forward. And that's what I want you to be. Okay. 6, make a decision. Make a decision to move on. No more woe is me. No more I can't stop thinking about him. No, just decide, right? That's a mindset thing. Your mind is so powerful. Decide to move on. And now that's not the whole thing where you need to stop thinking about something, right? Because if I tell you to not think about garden gnomes, you're going to think about garden gnomes and all the different colors and the different actions they do and stuff like that, right? So it's not about don't think about that, don't think about that. It's about finding something better that serves you, that you want to think about. So instead of wondering, are they thinking about me? What are they doing right now? And I wonder if they're going to regret, the breakdown of the relationship and all of those things. That just compiles suppressing and repressing those emotions, and it feels like it's so hard to move on. So think about better things that serve you. What awaits you in the future? What freedoms do you have now? What things can you do now that you weren't able to do in that relationship? Maybe that's go to movies you want to see. Maybe that's a hobby that you've been wanting to do that your partner didn't want anything to do with, but now you've got the time to do it and the availability. Maybe that's resources that were going, towards something that you weren't happy with, but now you can maybe start a new hobby or go on a vacation or whatever. Do things you want to do. Right? Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you do want. That's so important. Okay? So, and again, with that replacing, it's like if you try to quit smoking, like a lot of people, they try to quit smoking, all they do is sit around and tap their fingers, be like, man, I'm not smoking. All you're thinking about is smoking. Right? You replace it. People chew gum. They go for walks. I don't know. I've never smoked, and that's not my thing. That's not, helping people with that. But I mean, it's replacing it with something that serves you better. And the same thing with moving on with someone. Now, okay. So then the other thing is like that's kind of a mental, replacing it with something good, physically being active, finding things you want, and then and it's the distance, right? Distance. Don't drive by their house. Don't, digitally, don't sit and watch their social media. Don't look at their stories. Mute them. Block them if you need to. I mean, that's things that I did, right? Because, and because I found with muting, it, you still got kind of snippets here and there from people that know people. And chances are, if you were with someone for a long time, you've got common friends and things like that. And there's things that show up. So whenever, for my own well-being, my mental health, I blocked exes, right? It's like, yeah, I don't need to see that. I don't need to see what they're up to. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Go live your life. And that's important to me. Have the most marvelous life in the world because you deserve that, but so do I. And I can't do that when I keep getting those boat anchors dragging me down from behind. So mute them, block them, whatever. Don't search them out. Don't ask people what they're doing. Don't all that stuff. None of it. Leave the past in the past. Move on. Put those bags down and move forward because there's so much better waiting for you. Okay, and know that when you become the best version of yourself, when you use those things, those 6, I've got one more, but when you use those things, when you become better, you attract better, and that's so important because that's where that confidence comes from to move forward, right? Number 7, the last one here, and how to move on after a breakup, a relationship. Don't hate love. Live from a place of love. Right? Love because you're someone who loves, not because you want it back from someone. Love because it makes you feel good. Now, a lot of times, and I remember walking around after, the breakdown of my marriage, after divorce, and whenever I saw some couples holding hands and stuff like that, I was like, well, that's never going to be me, and almost resenting when I saw people posting, on social media, how many years I've been together with this person and how happy they were, and it hurt. Right? And know that with just even energetically in the law of attraction, we can do other videos about this if you want, let me know, but the law of attraction doesn't know yes or no, it just knows what you're focused on. And so if all you're focused on is how much you resent when you see people that are in relationships and love and things like that, well, then you're going to get more of it. Right? The fear of being lonely, all of those things, you don't want that. So when you see love, celebrate it. Right? Oh, that's so cute to see that couple. Oh, and if you see a little, a dog walking down the street, pet the dog. Hold the door open for people. Smile at people when you pull up next to them at a traffic light. Like all those little things. You can be loving without being in a relationship. And here's the newsflash. When you are loving and you come from that place, that's what you attract into your life. People are kinder to you, you're kinder to others, and you just vibe higher, and it's so nice. It's so better, so much of a better place to live from. So live from a place of love, and do it because you are someone who loves and it brings you joy, not because you're trying to get something else out of it. So, quick summary: do no harm to yourself, others, or anything. Number 2, find someone to talk to, and talk. Not surface level, stuff like that. Actually legitimate feelings. Express yourself, how you're feeling, where you want to go, what that's all about. And then number 3, feeling those emotions. Feel them, acknowledge them, process them, and then move forward. And there's tools and things like that if you're looking for insight for that, you can reach out to me. I can share some of those with you on what the tools are to move forward. Number 4, realizing your value is not in that relationship, not in someone else, not in the things you had or did. It's in you, and you keep that. You have all of that, and you can improve it, and that starts right now. Number 5, ownership. What did you do well in that relationship? What did you not do well? And what do you need to improve on? And start doing that right now, right? Looking for patterns, that's a big thing there, right? And moving forward with that. Number 6, make a decision right now to move on. No more candle in the window stuff here. No more feeling sorry for yourself. Decide it's time for you to move on and be open to the love and abundance and beautiful things that are coming in your life. And number 7, live from a place of love. All right? So thank you for joining today. And if you found value or anything, useful in this video, I'd appreciate it if you like and share it, and comment below if you'd like. Subscribe to the channel. That always helps in the growth. And I am so grateful for all of the subscriptions and comments and the interactions in the comments and stuff. So I am grateful for you for joining me on a part of my journey, and in sharing some insight to hopefully exponentially shorten the time that you're in those storms of life, move forward and be happy and fulfilled, and live in success and abundance like you were meant to be. And that's what this is all about, in joining me in my journey, becoming the best version of me. And I love having you with me. So if, again, to find out how to work with me, I'll tag it below. It's carriekish.com is my website, as well as on all social media. You can reach out at Carrie Kish Coaching. Instagram stories, pretty active on Instagram and Facebook as well, with stories and stuff, a little insight into kind of behind the scenes in my world as well, if you're interested in that. And if you're interested in continuing the journey of becoming the best version of you, check out this next video that's popping up on the screen right now, because more than likely it's about mindset, motivation, and manifesting, and how to apply it in your life to become the best version of you. So keep that momentum going. And until the next video, as always, sending peace, love, and positive vibes your way.